Hey everyone, this is Ian from Routemate. I'm joined today by Dan Pestretto, a landscaping business coach and consultant for Systems Organized by Design, or SOD. And the main objective of today is to really just understand Dan's outlook on the industry and to see where he sees the landscaping industry in the next few years, and really just focus on the attributes that he's seen within landscaping businesses that makes the top 10% as successful as they are, based on a lot of the companies that he's worked with throughout his career. So Dan, thank you for joining me today. We'll really just get right into it. Could you just describe to us the business that you operate, the services you kind of offer, the type of businesses you work with, and just the evolution of Systems by Design since its founding?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on. And Systems Organized by Design started out as salespeople on demand. And actually, I've been doing this business. I've been in horticulture and landscaping all my life. I'm the son of a son of a son of a gardener.
Wow.
And worked in the industry. I owned my own business for 12 years, and I went on to work for other businesses and managed. Once I got there's something that you need to understand, and it's really hard to get your mind wrapped around it when you're in it. And but once I really discovered what the difference was between businesses that make money and those that don't, and then later on in my maturity, businesses that serve their owners and businesses that don't, and I think ultimately that's really even more important. Once you understand what the difference is in those two things, then you can really fly. And I was able, once I got that, every business that I managed for other people did really well. And consistently, I don't think once I got it, I never lost. Everything I knew the path, and at one point I had doubled the business during the recession of a landscape company I was managing. And I got tired of managing it. And I said to the owner, I'd just like to sell. Is there any way I could just sell? And he goes, well, put together a proposal. Well, I happen to, and if I go on too long, just let me know. Yeah. I happen to run into Michael Gerber. Have you read the E-Myth Revisited?
I don't think so, no.
Michael Gerber wrote this book like 40 years ago. It's been on the Times bestseller list for decades, I think. And I put my little name on a website, and he called me, or actually his person called me, and then he called me. And I had an hour conversation with him, and I never felt so heard. That guy was primo, and is primo still. And he convinced me to sign up for a class. I signed up for this class. I understood better what I wanted to do, and I went out and did it. Started off as salespeople on demand. I discovered that, I like salespeople. I love salespeople, but not too many people do. And as I thought about that more, it wasn't something I could offer on scale, really. I could only deal with local people because I was representing their companies. Right. So I ran into another guy who was an E-Myth coach, and he has a software program. It's like a platform for organization and systemizing. And I learned about that and really loved the way that was put together. In the interim, I became an E-Myth coach. I've since let that certification drop, but I went from salespeople on demand, SOD, to Systems Organized by Design. And I've been doing that for about, 5-6 years, maybe 7. So I offer business systemization services. I offer graphic support to landscape contractors. And I think that's something that might be interesting for your audience. The maintenance side of the business is great. It's time and materials, but I know when I saw my dad evolve into this, and we started making a whole lot more money when we went into design build. And so, but the difficult part about that is the design part.
Mhm.
And so I have a service where if you've got some ideas and you scratch it down on a plot plan, and it doesn't have to be pretty, but you know, the more detailed you can be, we can turn those scribbles into CAD drawings and also into 3D illustrations and animation videos. And so that's a service that has been really helpful and has gotten my foot in the door into a lot of different businesses, different sizes. And we do website creation and upgrades, and of course the systemization process. What I like to say is that we have a system for systemizing, and it's very orderly. There's a step-by-step progression to it, and I am offering systemscaping courses right now. Individually, I think I'm going to move it into groups as I get better at marketing it. And then ultimately it'll be a package that you can buy and go through the process on your own.
Fantastic. So, I mean, it sounds like your business has really changed and evolved since it's founded 6 or 7 years ago. In that same vein, how have you seen the businesses that you worked with really change in that time as well? Like, what are the main differences you've seen from business that was happening or that was operating 6 or 7 years ago, and how that business is today? Like, what's the client base? What's your client base like, or what was it like before versus what is it like today?
My client base is pretty much the same. The clients that I take on go through a maturation process, but my target market hasn't really changed. I think my sweet spot in the market is well, I'm trying to think about different clients and things, but I'd say the sweet spot is probably younger guys or women who are open to understanding that there might be a better way to do things, and those that are open and smart pick it up pretty well, and they can see huge. The impact can be huge. Mm-hmm. With the systemizing part, the graphic support, it is what it is, and the website is it is what it is. But the most interesting part is designing and building systems and helping business owners understand the difference between having a business that, you know, you slave for it versus it working for you.
Then how do you really convince a business owner to see those benefits that your company offers?
Hey, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And all I can tell them is that it's possible, and they have to want to do it. It may not be a direction they want. They may. It's impossible to convince anybody to go through it because it's not easy. And changing your mind is never easy, even for young people, I think. But I think if the desire is there, it's possible. Most people get into this business because they're really good at landscaping, but they don't know much about business. So I mean, a lot of them they start out with somebody, and then they top out, and they realize that, you know, this guy's charging $60 an hour and I'm only making 20. I could make a lot more money if I went out on my own. And then they start getting employees, and then all of a sudden they're managers. And then as they get more and more employees, it becomes necessary to be a leader, which is more like an entrepreneur. And I guess the motivation there is how much pain they're in, because it can be really painful. If you have, like you were saying, that your friend's father, you got 30 or 40 people whose, families depend on you, and you don't understand how to make this a little bit easier or a lot easier, you're going to end up working yourself to the bone, and that hurts. It hurts your family. It can hurt your finances. It's real serious stuff. So depending on how deep they are into it and how committed they are into their employees and to growing their business, that factors into their ability to grow and learn new things, or their desire.
Right. And yeah, I think one of the main things too that we try to communicate with these businesses that we work with is that the same systems and processes that have taken you from 0 to $1 million in revenue every year aren't going to be the same systems and processes that take you from 1 million to 5 million. And having them understand that you can't just keep doing the same processes over and over again and expect to have the same growth every single year. Things have to change. Things have to be better implemented. And in your case as well, these systems have to change in order for them to not work themselves to the bone, provide a better service, provide a better operating environment for their operators, for their technicians, to really get them to a point where they can make that growth and keep up with that pace and kind of reach their business goals themselves.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. And what got you there is not what got you to where you are is not going to get you to where you want to be if you want to grow your revenues and grow your profit. There's only so much. Most of the guys that I work with work really, really hard. They work incredibly hard. A lot of the guys work way harder than I ever have ever in my life. But you get to that point where you just can't work harder. So then you have to work smarter and rely on documented systems that will give you consistent results. And then if you look at the difference, like, our program develops the systemic architecture for businesses. And if you look at what that is for $1 million business versus a $5 million business, what you find is that the systems or the processes are actually much smaller. In a small business, the accountabilities are broader, and in a bigger business, they start to get a little bit more smaller and more defined. So what you're going to find is that a $1 million business may have 60, 70, 80 different processes that create the systems that make that business run, and a $5 million business could have 120. I have businesses with 160 different processes that people are accountable for. And so it's the whole thing. It's the mindset. It's understanding the value of systems, and then understanding how you're going to structure those systems and create lanes. What I'm really saying is that the lanes are a lot smaller in a big business than they are in a smaller business.
Mm. Yeah, and that makes very intuitive sense. So I guess switching over more to an outlook perspective, how do you see the industry really changing? How do you see your clients changing over the next 10 years? What are the big changes you see?
I think environmental impact is going to be huge. I think we've all got to lower our impact on the environment, and I think technology is going to help us a lot. And the other thing is automation, AI, automation, and artificial intelligence. And we're already starting to see that. I think the political problems that don't allow us to have access to immigrant labor pools are driving this, and ultimately, we're going to solve it, but we're going to probably solve it with technology.
Mm.
So I think on both fronts, technology and research and thinking and giving things a try are going to be really important. I think sound impact, chemical, environmental impact, and the labor. I think those are the areas that are really going to change a lot for our businesses, our industry.
Yeah, I know that right now a lot of businesses we talk to, the big topic of conversation is the labor shortage, and being that it's harder to find people that want to work these extremely labor intensive jobs that are outside all day, when they can go and be an Uber driver or go and DoorDash instead of doing jobs like this. And I guess what we try to push too is that the problem really is the labor shortage, but the problem too is the processes that require you to have more employees. And how do you, like you were saying before, simplify those processes so you don't need as much manual labor in there, so you can really automate that and subtract that employee that's needed, but still get that same level of output you're getting for your business at the same time.
Yeah, and we're missing something too. You know, it's hard to imbue meaning into you know, routine landscape chores, but the best companies work towards that. And really that's the basis of systemizing your business. If you can figure out why you do this, why, if you're a business owner, why did you choose landscaping, and what about it is meaningful to you, and what are your personal values, and translate that into your business, then you've got something that will attract employees, that will keep employees. People, especially when you're outside all day long and it's hot and it's you know, routine. It's just you know, pretty much the same every single yard. When you feel like you're working towards something, and for a company whose values kind of mirror yours, it becomes easier to create a team. So it's not only getting, you know, getting more efficient, and part of what you were saying was getting, and your software does it. Well, a lot of the problems, I never saw anybody, I've been doing this a long time. I never saw anybody take on a job to screw it up. So people take on jobs, they come into your landscaping business and they're going to be running a string trimmer or a mower or whatever all day long. They want to be successful at it. Now, what your software helps and what systems help to do is to communicate better, more clearly, what it is you expect from these people. And if there's a problem, as the manager or the owner, you go to the systems that are communicating what you want done before you go and yell at the employee. So when it's systems based, that's where you go first to kind of look at, you know, why is there a fire here? Why is there a problem? And that, all of that, and if your systems are based on your values, all of that helps to create an environment that is really a nice place to work. And if your goals, everybody's aligned to your goals, having the pride of working towards something and being better at it than everybody else, and understanding that little difference about value and your values and meaning in your work is the ticket. And in our systemization process, that's where we go first. You know, you have to understand that you're not just a business owner, you're a business leader. You're a leader, and everybody looks to you. And the best leaders understand how important having meaning and how important it is to be a company and a person of your word.
Yeah, we completely align. I think we could say we align pretty similar on those values, as well as that a lot of employees would rather follow a mission-based company rather than one that's just focused on the amount of properties they can visit a day, the amount of profit they can make out of a client. One that's really focused on providing value, and one that's really focused on a deep set mission. And that's, like you said, is led by the business owner. Someone who can really do that is the person who's going to find the best employees. And then on top of that, if you're providing them with the tools to be able to accomplish the job, that's where you can really start to differentiate yourself amongst the vast industry of landscape maintenance and landscaping companies in general, because that's really how there's too much competition out there to really rest on your laurels per se, and you really have to find the best ways to differentiate yourself. And I think you really hit the nail on the head by saying that you need to be mission based, and you need to be able to communicate information to your employees effectively and provide them with the systems to be able to do the best job possible and make it as easy on them as possible, because it is a tough job, and holding them and holding on to employees is also becoming extremely difficult.
That's right. And where were we? Oh, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No problem at all. So I know that we're kind of hinting on the next kind of question that I had. And so we mentioned that having a mission-based company is setting you up for success and allowing you to provide more of an avenue for your employees to align with your company, and then providing them with the best tools is another way to differentiate yourself amongst your competition and give your employees the tools to be able to accomplish the jobs that they need to on a daily basis. In your perspective and in your experience with the companies that you've worked with, what really separates those top 10% of businesses that you work with, the ones that you really look at and say after you're done providing them with your service that, okay, I know this is going to be a very successful business because they have XYZ trait, they have XYZ characteristic. What are those top 10% companies operating like, and how are they different?
Well, I would say that anybody who would attempt to systemize their company with documented systems is already going to be in the top 10%. I think the real difference that puts them up into the top 1%, the guys that are spiraling up. I worked with a marketing guy, and a long time ago, and he was a Macy's marketer. He was in charge of vice president of marketing for Macy's.
Yeah. And
he says to me, he says, the only momentum in business is when you're going downhill. And so it's all about marketing, but the differentiating business where, sure, you got to market, you got to advertise, but the ones that spiral up where you just can't help but grow. It's just working. Of course there's marketing, and of course everything is in place, but the difference with where these companies are spiraling up is that they have a brand promise and company values that are clearly communicated to the community, to the employees, to the customers, and to their suppliers, and to their shareholders or lenders. And that's the differentiating factor from the businesses that you are not going to stop them.
Yeah.
The economy may slow them down, but they are on their way up, and it's having a brand promise and company values that speak to the constituents that are impacted by the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So really just alignment amongst all your stakeholders, and clearly communicating your values, your mission is really what sets those companies apart, because you really have the best business in the world, but if you're not all aligned, moving in one single direction, that's when you really start to have the wheels fall off, when people aren't aligned on what the shared mission is, what the shared goal is. Yeah,
that's right. And what I was going to say before was that a lot of guys jump into this trying to be faster, quicker, and cheaper. Having a mission-based business with clearly stated values and communicating those values amongst the team, having documented processes and lanes for each person on your org chart, so that everybody has specific accountabilities, will allow you to, get away from quicker, cheaper, faster, or one of the two, or two of the three.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. And when you're in that spot, then it's just a matter of deciding what you want to do.
Mhm. Yeah, because I know that one of the big complaints too for a lot of businesses we talk to is them running into the competitor being the $20 lawn guy who's just going around the neighborhood saying he's got a lawnmower, he can cut your lawn for $20, where a lot of these other companies are charging 3 or 4 times as much. But obviously they're the professionals, they have all the certifications needed, they have the industry experience. And the people that we've seen that really go with the $20 mower guy aren't the ones that are really aligning with the mission of the companies that are offering the better service, offering the better values. Those are the clients, or the people that are buying that service aren't the ones that are trying to align with that. But we have seen that a lot of the companies that are really successful are the ones that you've described. They're the ones that, yeah, they might not offer the cheapest service, but they offer consistency, they offer the best client experience, they have employees that care about the business, they have employees that align with their mission, and they go out and they perform consistently every single day. And they have clients that can talk at length about how great the service is. And then you look back and you see the guy who went with the $20 mower guy who didn't show up on time, did a terrible job, and they've realized that they've really just dumped the best company out there for them when they've just been trying to save a quick buck.
Yeah, and the guy doing it for 20 is going to get eaten up by the guy who does it for 15.
Yeah, yeah.
At some point, somebody's going to figure out how to be cheaper than you,
Mhm.
or they're going to be more desperate. If
Yeah.
that's just not where you want to be.
Yeah, not the recipe for a sustainable business is what we've seen.
Right. And it gets to the thing about differentiating. And I think you can differentiate yourself on 2 things: on your values, on who you are, and how well that's communicated to your team. And then differentiating yourself on, I'm a horticulturist. I have a degree in horticulture. So of course I think this, but it's true that you can your service, you can differentiate yourself if you base your service on science.
Mm-hmm.
Not that hard.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard, but I don't know where all these horticulturalists go. And that brings up another point. I think, there's just fewer and fewer people studying horticulture. And I run into, with a fair amount of consistency, people studying landscape contracting, but I don't really know, and I'm older, so maybe there is horticulture in that program. But when I went to school, we were studying plant science and not business. And I think business is important, but you can hire a horticulturalist cheaper than you can hire a business manager. So I understand that, but I don't know. We need to do something to make it more attractive for people to study plant science. And when you think about it, I look at some of these industries that you have to get a college degree for to enter in, and the starting salaries are lower than the landscape industry.
Mm-hmm.
So that word has got to get out somehow. We've got to get our younger people interested in studying horticulture and landscaping and art and science. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm really into it, but I think there's really, what could be more interesting than that? Combining art and science and making people happy and getting paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
definitely the intersection of art and science is really where things are interesting. And I know it might not be the hot topic of today is horticulture, but I agree with you that there should be an avenue or some sort of outlet where this word can get out, because obviously the trades aren't the most attractive jobs at the moment, but obviously they're very lucrative careers. They provide a lot of value. Being able to do something with your hands is really an underappreciated art nowadays, and I think that's something that should really change. And I know that's something that we're trying to push as well, is that the value of this business is really being underappreciated at the moment. And I think that a lot of people see the hard work and see the sweat and see uh, the real hardship of it, but they don't realize the real value that the trade really brings. And I think that's something that really needs to be, the narrative needs to really switch on that, because it is a very fulfilling career. And the businesses that we've talked to, the owners that we've talked to, obviously uh, have found value in it. Obviously doing it for 30, 40 years, it's something that you have to have real passion for something. If it's something you're willing to do for that long, it's something that you're willing to do for 12 hours a day. And that's something that's we find really inspiring with businesses that we work with. And so I guess moving into the final question that I had, that was something that I found really interesting on your website when I was reading through it. And for listeners that own their own landscaping businesses that are looking to, as you put it on your website, get the house in order, what are some foundational steps that they can really take today, or something that they can look into in the next few weeks or coming up on their season? What are some steps that they can take?
Getting your house in order, I think your business is a reflection of you. Your business is going to be as much in order as you are.
Mhm.
So I'm not suggesting that, everybody's got to go into therapy and work on themselves, but you're where it starts. And well, I guess it starts with having a goal. And if you don't have a goal, then what are you doing? Where are you going? Nobody knows. Not your employees, not you. So I get, and that's the first step in our Systemscaping courses, is to look at your leadership qualities. And I've talked about this before in podcasts, but where we start is kind of like you start with the end in mind, right? And really to get clear on what's important to you, and it's hard to do on your own. It really is. You need somebody to kind of, not a therapist, but maybe a coach.
Mhm.
What would you want people to say about you when you're gone? And that will open up your thinking to what's really important to you, which is really based on values. And a good coach gets you to think more deeply. Why is that important to you, and helps to drive your thinking down to the essence of what's going on inside your head and your heart and soul. So I don't know. I mean, that's maybe not very helpful, but I think that's the truth.
Mhm.
I really do. And so, I could say things like, well, document your systems, develop an org chart. Yeah. But all that stuff, if all of that is based on your personal values and you have a goal, a clear goal, then you can really go somewhere. But just documenting your systems, so it's like the US government, or, it's like everything is documented. I have my SOPs. If they're not value-based and they're not, they're not pointed towards a particular goal, it's not going to help.
Mhm.
It won't help. So your business is a reflection of you, and be really think carefully about that, and get a coach. They're expensive. I am so sorry that it is, but and maybe we can figure out a way to package that, but I don't think so. It's really, coaching is the interchange, or the interplay between you say something, I think about it, listen, and ask you a question. And that's the difference between consulting and coaching. We had talked about, a landscape business owner hired a landscape consultant to give him suggestions on operating software.
Mhm.
Coach, a consultant would do that, right? Oh, I've had a landscaping business. I've done this, and this, and you should use this thing. It's going to be great. Coach would ask questions about, let's get you thinking about what you want that program to do. and ask questions about, what you should be asking and looking for with the vendors, with the different vendors, so that so that you'll make a decision based on what you really need the program to do.
Mhm.
And that is also the process of coaching business owners into systemizing their business so that they have the freedom, so that they have a business they love and a life they love. But you have to go through a certain amount of pain for that, and you have to have a certain amount of success. And I think most people can work really hard and drive their business up to $1 million in revenue. And if their average, their profit is at least average, I think at that point you can afford help.
Mhm.
So that's a long, circuitous answer, but that's the best I can offer.
No, I mean, those are usually the best answers are the ones that require a lot of explanation. And so I guess to wrap up, if companies listening to this, business owners listening to this, were interested in working with Systems Organized by Design, what is the best way to, I guess, get in contact with your business, get in contact with you?
Go to the website, hit the contact button, or give me a call.
Great. And we'll put the website link in the description for this video as well, for this podcast. So it'll be readily available for any companies that are interested in working with Dan in his business and really providing or seeing the value that he's provided so many businesses in the past. So I'd like to thank you, Dan, for giving us some of your valuable time. I know that you're a very busy guy. So thank you. We really appreciate your time, and we really hope we can talk more and work more in the future.
I do too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Okay.